In 1948, all of a sudden we became brothers with Russians overnight. That's what they called us, brothers. And they exported this system of communism, socialism, Stalinism to our country. So overnight we were communists.
1948.
1948. After World War II, well, the Russians, the Soviets, liberated Eastern Europe, and they never left. And they implemented that system in my country. So I'm very familiar what she's talking about.
Yes, so that's
Travel abroad, prohibited. You were not even encouraged to think about such a thing. Any foreign publications, books, magazines, records, music was prohibited, absolutely prohibited.
Did your parents talk about, because they were old enough?
Very bitterly. My father was so bitter because he fought in World War II.
That's why he called him Igor.
As
Igor
a
is
guerrilla.
a Russian name.
Partisan guerrilla against Germans, Nazis, and who were helping them were the Soviets, Russians. They were dropping supplies, weapons, parachute, advisors. So many advisors would come, and one of them was called Igor. That's why.
That's why he got the Russian name.
When I was a boy, I didn't like the fact that I was called Igor, Russian name. Russian Soviets were very unpopular in my country. They were occupiers. Nobody called them that, but they were occupiers. Yeah. So I actually went out of my way, and I researched that Igor is a Viking name. It was a name of one of the governors of that portion of what is today Russia. Egor, Prince Egor.
So you should call yourself Igor?
It's not a Russian name, it's a Viking name. To me that was big, that meant something. You know what was prohibited? For two people stand on a corner and talk. That was prohibited. Two people talking, or three, that's a crime. The police would come with they would come with sticks, nightsticks, and disperse.
It's already some conspiracy.
Yeah.
Were they Russian police?
No, local police. No, there was no. Russians were invisible. We would see tanks in distance. We would see bases, but the Russians were invisible. But the only way you could become policeman is to become part of the system. So it was a police state. A policeman was absolute power. He could do anything, and did.
That's why we are afraid of policemen even now.
Even now, when I see
we
a policeman,
didn't do anything wrong.
I have a feeling in my back, my skin crawls. I mean, I have a reaction to when I see a policeman after 50 years almost.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what police they will do to you.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah. And I treat policemen so well over here because they were the utmost authority. That was the most visible authority.
Wow.
But
So that was their export. This kind of system, I was there.
So did you feel this in Russia, in Odessa?
Sure.
And so the idea, did that contribute to wanting to get out of that system? How important were those conversations in your 20s?
when I told you my story that anti-Semitism that I felt in school, trying to get on to university, and even my first marriage. I told you, even if they were Greek, but they were very negative to me because I was Jewish. I always felt it. So that.
No, but he asked whether you felt the system.
Oh, the system.
No, you were born under that. You know,
For us, it was we took it for granted.
that was normal. Because this system was born in 1920s, so that was already second generation of this.
Yeah, and
For us, it was imposed on.
My mother, she was born 1912, but when Stalin died in 1953, we all were crying. My mother was crying. Our father
We
died.
were celebrating. I remember that 1953. We were in streets and celebrating because the whole country shut
We
down.
all were crying.
When Stalin died, our country shut down. Nothing moved. No cars, trains, factories. Everything shut down. We were out in the streets and we felt free because even police wasn't on the street.
But so can I ask you, your father was, no, your uncle was taken prisoner by the Germans. And when he came back, Stalin had a policy where you were prisoner, you go to
Oh,
Siberia.
but by that time he died already.
Right, but I find it interesting.
No, but that's exactly, he's right. Stalin said it was a black mark on your legacy
Yeah,
to be
that's what I
captured
told
by.
yesterday. My aunt's
Exile.
husband, he was captured by German,
Right.
and he even didn't have a chance to come to the village.
You shouldn't have
to
been
see
captured
his
by
wife.
Germans.
Yeah, he was sent to labor camp
so-
in Siberia where he died.
But Stalin was responsible for that, so now Stalin dies and everyone cries for him? Is that...
We
did you-
didn't know. It's not that we didn't
uncle.
know.
He was
it
uncle.
was a crime. We understand that.
He was uncle, that's actual translation.
Everything what he did
Father of
was,
the country.
Was right. If those people are in Siberia, probably
They
they
deserve
deserve it. And later on, we found out that Stalin wanted to move all Jews, because the majority of Jews in Russia lived in big cities like Odessa, Moscow, Leningrad. So there is a small autonomic republic in Siberia called Birobidzhan. I probably nobody ever heard it. Very, very tiny.
That's where Jews were exported.
Yeah, but what Stalin wanted to do, to move all the Jews from all big cities and to Siberia, though he knew that the majority of Jews in big city are the manpower, the scientists and writers and art and everything was. So
The intelligentsia were the Jews
intelligentsia,
educated.
yeah. So again, we found it much later that already he made an order to build rails, I don't know, some trains, and on a way to have what you call it, trenches with the what you call it, chlorine or whatever. So on a way there to kill some people and to bury them there. That was preparing if he didn't die or killed. There's some information that he was killed or died, so that could happen. But at that point, we really were crying. I was still in school. We had such a distorted image. There was just Veliki Stalin. Veliki, it means great, great. But when I was a child, to me, Veliki means like a giant. I remember we were with my mother going on the street, and there is a huge medal on a wall or on a building. And I asked my mother, Mom, probably Stalin wears a medal like that because he's great. He's giant, he's big.
Wow.
No, they thought he was superhuman.
Yeah.
Meaning, green giant, like 20 feet tall.
So,
That's
but
amazing.
by the time when immigration
So when he
started,
died,
yeah, we already had some information from letters from friends, and at that point, I decided, as I said, I know all my life ahead till the end here, but I don't know what will be my life there. Maybe someday I will see Paris.